This is Johnny with Tiger You Know What MMA, giving you my thoughts and predictions on Lewis versus Nascimento, aka UFC St. Louis. Total bouts, 13 bouts in this card. I thought about going to it, but, it's a 6-hour drive to St. Louis, and also I'd have to go to St. Louis, which I do not want to do, mainly because I hate the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, and also people of my complexion, the light skins, are not welcome there. But overall, excited for this card. Lewis, he's basically named after him. It's Derek Lewis fighting in St. Louis. It's destined for him to win this fight by first round knockout. But I'll give you my thoughts on that. Before that, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the 301 card, UFC 301 Usyk versus Pantoja. Very quickly, I went 11 out of 13. Not really, doesn't take a genius to predict that. The only one that I felt pretty good about is picking Aldo, which, I wanted him by knockout. He didn't get me the knockout, but he ended up proving my fucking point that Martinez cannot box. But, overall, good card. Costa defeats Borjas. Nothing really to say there. Took him by submission. He ended up pounding him out. Bonfim showed that he's not a scrub. Vink Pacho, the generational fade of 40-plus-year-old lightweights is going to continue for me. I took Karakate, Nesta Hust Karakate. I thought for a 20-some-year-old girl with less than 10 professional fights, she handled herself well against a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Yeah, Barboza looked very unimpressive. Let's just say that. I thought Karakate looked good enough for me to feel comfortable with losing half a unit or a quarter unit. It's just more so that her inexperience really cost her the ability to win that fight. I don't think she would have won, even had she had a lot of control time in round number 2, where I think she got Barboza down. That was the funniest shit. A swimmer in Karakate was able to reverse Barboza, who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Very funny. Hoofy, real easy money from Mauricio Hoofy. Fuck Jamie Malarkey. That scissor sweep looked like a prime Mortal Kombat 2 Scorpion. Hoofy did. He was on my parlay. So I had 2 parlays, one generational wealth parlay that would have been setting me for life for a while. And on top of that, a parlay that would have made me broke even, which I did. I just broke even. Hoofy was on that. Drakkar Close, I don't know what you want to say about round number 3. He did win that fight, clearly, but where I come from, the streets of LA, when you drop a motherfucker on his face, it doesn't tend to be a low IQ move. He got caught in that guillotine, flung him backwards. To me, anytime you drop someone on their fucking head, plus money for me, that's good shit. But yeah, it is what it is. He didn't get submitted. Had he gotten submitted, then we can talk. But in this case, whatever. Elvis Brenner continues to prove that he is the toughest janitor from Shoot to Box Boxing. Do look good. He lost the fight. Orbai, continues to prove that if you were born in 10,000 BC, you're going to win a lot of fights in the UFC. But, they both look good. They both look kind of bad at the same time. Brenner was very susceptible to getting hurt to the head. And on top of that, easy to control. And Brenner also kind of showed spurts of like brilliant jiu-jitsu as to taking Orbai down, getting in good position. But Orbai, fought back. They were both dead tired. It was a really fun fight. Lucindu continues to prove that she is a very good prospect. I just want to see her a little bit more aggressive. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, she got outclassed, clearly. I did have Lucindu on that parlay along with Orbai and Hoofy and one more guy. And, Carolina, she had a moment there where she got hit to the right eye with the left hook, and I thought she was going to go back to being googly-eyed Carolina, which was, I don't want to see that ever again. Brito beats the shit out of Jack Shore. Basically, White Boy punks him. He kicked the shit out of his leg, man. I've never seen that happen where a doctor goes out there, fingers your leg, and he's like, fight's off. I got what I wanted. So, Jack Shore, undersized for 145. Brito. Brito's on the good stuff in Brazil. Caio Borralho cashed my, break-even parlay. It was now up to another guy to cash me out for that generational wealth parlay. But Borralho proved that, what he said was correct. The easiest, smartest way to beat Paul Craig is to knock him out. And the tape around his glasses on Borralho proves to me that he's a very smart man. Ferreira, nothing happened. All I remember seeing about this fight is that he drops Pretoria and then he chokes him out. Nothing in between. Could have been aliens. I don't know, but there was some controversy. I don't really know why. Was it because Ferreira didn't dance along the cage, or did Pretoria say something to Shogun? You know how Pretoria has that like weird gay little dance that he did to Shogun, which still pisses me off to this day. I'm glad he kneed him to the head. I mean, nothing happened. But yeah, good for Ferreira. Anthony Smith gets a very opportunistic choke on Petrino. And by opportunistic, I mean Petrino. Petrino gave him a squeeze to the back of the leg. He's like, grab me by the neck. I've got money against me. Petrino took that loss very well, let's just say. But Anthony Smith, his time will come. I think his time has come, but whatever agreement he and Petrino had, hopefully they made good money together. Jose Aldo once again proves to me that Jonathan Martinez is not ready for the top 10 of the division. I think he's a good fighter. I really do like Jonathan Martinez, but if you're getting knocked out by dangerous Davy Grant after whipping his ass, you really think Jose Aldo's not going to whip your ass? A guy who's been kickboxing since, before the scar? The guy, to me, was like always the play. I took him by that TKO prop. It broke my heart when he went for the takedown. He wobbled the shit out of Martinez, and it was like proving me right. I'm like, yo, Martinez has a cap. There's going to be certain guys that can beat him because he's not super well-rounded for that high level of MMA. And Jose Aldo proved that. A 38-year-old Jose Aldo proved it after retirement. So, suck my dick. Pantoja defeats Ursig. Live, I had Pantoja 3-2. But when I saw the scorecards, I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking robbery. They gave Pantoja round number 3 on all 3 scorecards. To me, that tells me there is some fishy shit going on because Pantoja did not win round number 3. The damage was done by Ursig. He landed the elbow. He cut him. You physically saw Pantoja go like, what happened? So it pissed me off when I saw that. Like, if you would have given rounds, like my rounds were round number 1, round number 2, round number 5. Pantoja, 48-47, really close fight. Could have been Ursig's fight. People were saying, even I think DC was like, yeah, Ursig's going to see him going for that takedown in the 5th round, cost him the fight. Let's be honest, had Ursig not done anything and just struck with him and outlanded him, he still would have fucking lost. They still would have given round number 5 to Pantoja. Like, there was no way he was going to walk out of there with that belt, and that kind of proves it to me. I don't like throwing robbery out there, but when it comes down to that one round where the challenger had the best round, which was round number 3, 100%, going to Ursig, and they don't give it to him, that to me is some weird shit. That is some suspicious shit. Nothing's going to happen. Was what it was. So yeah, let's get started with the first fight of the night here. We've got J.J. Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy. No surprise here. I'm going with Hardy by a decision, mainly because I think she's going to be too quick for J.J. Aldrich. Essentially, she'll be too quick for her. Very much so like the Wee Turtles. She's going to be too quick for J.J. Aldrich. Here is a visual representation.
If I don't save the Wee Turtles, who will? Go! Save me from the Wee Turtles! They were too quick for me!
Yes, so J.J. Aldrich, to me, I think she does have the ability to match her with the Taekwondo background. She does have the grappling ability, but I think just the speed of Hardy is just going to really put her over the edge to get a decision, where Aldrich at plus 115, decent enough dog, especially at women's whatever. Veronica Hardy minus 135, not really worth taking a shot here other than maybe over. I think both girls are skilled enough to avoid getting finished by the other. And on top of that, as I mentioned, with her speed, that's really going to be the deciding factor. I think she's going to land the better strikes, where maybe Aldrich might have the overall control time. Hardy's just going to be the one landing the more impactful between the both, which will grant a decision, whether it be a close 28 or a decision win for Hardy. All right, next bout, I've got Kevin Jousset over Jared Gooden. Doing this kind of quickly because I have a tornado warning, whatever. Nothing major, but I've got minus 225 on Jousset. Comeback on Gooden is plus 185. I like Jousset mainly because of his style. I like his point fighting style. He is kind of opportunistic when it comes to the finishes. They come to him. He doesn't search for them. Good on the outside, low kicks. Good jab. He can just really piece up Jared Gooden on the outside, stay very safe, and he can definitely 30-27 Gooden. To me, Gooden doesn't really fight well in the UFC. He can't really beat good level competition. It's kind of been proven. His only 2 wins in the UFC are against Nicholas Stolze, cut, and Wellington Turman, also cut. He couldn't get a win in the UFC, and that was the best looking version of Wellington Turman, and he beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Wellington sucks. Other than a opportunistic knockout that Gooden can find, I don't see Jousset losing this fight. I think his chin's going to hold up, and I think he wins this one again, probably 30-27. Next bout here, we've got Charles Johnson versus Jake Hadley. Simply put, minus 170 on Jake Hadley. Not a fan of that. Charles Energy Johnson, plus 145. Not a big fan of Charles Johnson. I don't think he can take a joke. Let's just leave it at that. But plus 145 on him, not too bad. I think he is not the better fighter between the two, because I think Jake has more weapons other than wrestling. I just think Charles Johnson is the better striker, and because Jake doesn't have the ability to get it to the ground, he won't really have that jiu-jitsu to really try to finish or to control Charles. It'd be something if Jake does take him down, take his back, and kind of ride him out or even get a choke. I just don't see that happening. I like Charles here mainly because if it is just a boxing matchup, which Jake tends to try to maintain as, Charles moves his head. He also will be the longer guy. He will keep to the body. He moves his head. Jake doesn't move his head when he's boxing. He tends to have a high guard, kind of flares his elbow out. Not impressive to me. And again, if he could get takedowns here, I'd favor him at that minus 170, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so. I think his overall wrestling game, he's from England. He kind of sucks at it. Charles has been getting out grappled in his last few fights, and it's progressively gotten better to the point that I think maybe Jake going for a pretty decent shot, like a double leg, Charles is just going to be able to athletically get away from it. So I'm going Charles by a decision. I don't think he's going to lose in the city of St. Louis, so scorecards might be already written out. Trey Waters versus Billy Goff. Minus 160 for Trey Waters. Come back on Billy Goff, plus 135. I have the same old tired joke about Billy Goff, but ever since, the unpleasantness that happened, I don't know if I want to continue saying it. Like, unfortunately, Billy Goff's brother, he is no longer with us, so I feel so sad in my heart for the Goff family for losing Jack Goff. But anyways, Trey Waters, he is a fucking giant. 77-inch reach, 6'5", minus 160. I think initially it was Trey Waters for me because, hey, Billy Goff gets hits a lot. He gets hit a lot. And on top of that, I think there's going to be a time where he's going to get knocked the fuck out. But the thing about Billy is that he doesn't care. He is very aggressive. He's a very good fighter. He finds opportunities. Like, if you don't put him out, he will come after you. He's very much so like a Trevor Peek, just not with a better chin. I think he's more talented. I think he's got a variety of strikes. He hits the body well. He's got good low kicks. He can wrestle. Looking at his Instagram, he looks jacket and ready to go. I like Billy Goff in this spot. I think if Billy is still conscious come the second round, I think he's going to become more aggressive, and the pressure is going to make Trey less effective on the back foot. He's also very lead leg heavy. He's very reliant on the counters. He does have good chokes though. He does have a good power guillotine just due to his long fucking arms. So Billy does have to be very careful here, meaning that if Billy hurts him and he goes for a takedown for whatever reason, he's like, I want to be just like Jose Aldo, hurt my guy and take him down. And then Trey just goes for a choke. That would really suck. But to me, Billy Goff is the dog for me for this night. I think he, at plus 135, anytime he is an underdog, he will fight like an underdog for you. So even if he gets knocked the fuck out early, he's going to get back up all wobbly and still shoot for that takedown, even though he's already lost. So I like that about Billy. I'll go second round TKO Billy Goff. Okay, here Tabitha Ricci versus Tisha Torres. Baby Shark versus Tiny Tornado. The fight of the shitty nicknames. But I've got here minus 145 Tabitha Ricci. Come back on Tisha Torres is plus 115. Now, I could break it down and tell you why I think Tisha Torres is going to win, or I can just simply put that Tisha Torres is married to and trains with the 135 champion in Raquel Pennington. So the bright side of being married to Raquel Pennington is that, you train with the champion, you live together, and, you're at the gym together and you're training together and getting better. The other upside of being a lesbian couple and being married to the champion is that they're probably going to beat the shit out of each other at home. So she's getting double the training. So to me, Tecia Torres is the play. I think she looks good right now. After the baby, she's looking really jacked. She always does. She's always very fucking jacked. So it looks like she ate the placenta. That's how fucking jacked she is. And I think she's got the Taekwondo background. I think she's fought much better competition. And Tabitha Ricci, have not been impressed by her in a long, long time. I think that if she can't get takedowns, she's going to be forced to strike with Tecia, who's a much well-rounded striker. Ricci, to me, is the equivalent of quantity over quality, where she will throw a lot of volume and then maybe a couple will land, but she's not very pinpoint. Tecia is going to be throwing that lead, like side kick to the body. I just think this is Ticia's fight to lose, and at plus 115, she might be a play for me. I don't know. But I do like Tecia in this spot. I'm going to go by a decision. Next bout, we've got Terrence McKinney versus Esteban Ribovic. Minus 190 for Ribovic. Comeback on McKinney is plus 160. Now, very simply put, danger in this fight because McKinney can beat anybody in the first round. Ribovic is a little capable of getting chinned very early. I think his defense isn't all that great. He does get hit substantially, and he can get taken down. What I like about Ribovic and why I'm going to pick him in the second round by knockout, we already know McKinney gasses himself out. And maybe even not gasses himself out, he psychs himself out. At a certain point, there's going to be that fall off of a cliff that McKinney is going to hit, whether it be in the second round or even in the third. McKinney, I believe he's only gone to the third round once, and he actually got a heel hook. Against Esteban, he's not going to have the energy. If it does get extended, Esteban is going to attack the body. He's going to rip beautiful combinations. It's just that if a guy like McKinney can hurt pretty badly the best chin in lightweight history in Drew Dober, he can hurt Ribovic and knock him out. I think Ribovic's going to just be a little too wise in this spot. I think we know Terrence is going to try to bum rush. He bum rushes these bums. I don't think Esteban is a bum, but there's a chance Terrence could treat him like such, and I am worried about that. With Ribovic, I think he doesn't quite have the one-punch knockout power. He does have definite power for sure, but it's more in combinations. And say if McKinney, who I think he is developing slightly into a much better fighter, a much more composed fighter, if he feels that danger, he is going to continuously push for that takedown, whether it be one that he gets or one that is just used to control Ribovic. It could kind of kill the clock a bit. That makes him survive into the later rounds. So the under 1.5 to me, I think, is in jeopardy here. It's for sure fight doesn't go the distance. I'm going Ribovic round number 2. I think it might not be quite... That's the thing. It might not be quite, Terrence is kind of known to curl up like a bitch, and it's a tough one. But I do think it'll be Terrence steamrolling him in round number 1, Ribovic surviving, defending the chokes as he did against Joanne Kamuela Kirk. Kamuela took his back. I will say Ribovic's takedown defense looked very impressive after the second round. It's just that initial takedown, he had nothing to get back up. He's very athletic. He can power himself back up, and he has the cardio to work to make Terrence get tired. But, I think it's going to potentially be Terrence runs him over in the first round or takes him down, controls him, tries to go for the choke, chokes him out. If he doesn't, Ribovic's going to whip that boy's ass. So I got Ribovic, second round TKO. Next bout, Chase Hooper versus Vyacheslav Borshchev, Slava Claus, minus 180 for him. Come back on Hooper, plus 150. Very simply put, Slava Claus is going to whip that boy's ass. He is going to beat the cream filling out of this twink. So I've got him in the first round. The reason for it is that, number one, Vyacheslav, great striker. He's not going to play any bullshit like, let's take each other down and see let's wrestle. It ain't going to happen here. He doesn't want that. He is, capable of pulling a stunt here if Chase just bum rushes him and he takes him down. But this is going to be a southpaw versus southpaw. The low kicks are going to be there for Borshchev. Everything is going to be there for Borshchev. Left hooks to the body. Everything that he wants, anything that he wants to fucking hit him with, he's going to be there. And Chase, when you hit him hard, he doesn't like it. He panics. It's just not, he's not quite developed yet when it comes to fighting top-level strikers, especially those that he can't take down. And in this case, it's not that he can't take Vyacheslav down. I don't think he's going to be able to get a hold of him without feeling something fucking hard. And it's going to be a very rinse and repeat type of fight like the Steve Garcia fight. Now, with Steve Garcia, you know, it was a different weight class. There's a chance he can, again, get Bill Borshchev down. I just don't see it. I think if Borshchev is just uber aggressive in the first, he gets him out in the first. If he tries to like, oh, I'm gonna set things up before I throw my overhand, like that's what's gonna get him in trouble. Where Chase can throw something fucking stupid like a spinning back kick that might catch Borshchev. I doubt that's gonna happen. But yeah, Chase has definitely improved, especially with the striking. But that boy's jiu-jitsu is just ridiculous. But I think that Borshchev is going to treat him like, you know, like the dweeb that he was in high school. Like, oh, look at this guy. He does jiu-jitsu. He's a homosexual. I think Borshchev's going to just take his lunch. So round number 1 for me. Next bout, Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus the big boy, Robles Despine. Despine minus 170 comeback on Acosta plus 145. Doesn't go the distance, obviously. Under 1.5, I think, is the best play. Shit, under half a round if you are that confident in Despine getting a knockout. To me, though, I've got Acosta to win this one by knockout, first or second round. Reason being, I don't know how good Robles' cardio is. I know he's capable of knocking out a lot of people, but Acosta, I'll put it to you this way. I've really said that Acosta was like one of the least skilled fighters at heavyweight in the UFC because he doesn't have that well-roundedness. In this specific spot, he is the much more well-rounded fighter compared to Despine. Other than, you know, flashy taekwondo, I think Acosta has him covered in the boxing. I think he has him covered in the cardio. For damn sure, that's a proven point at this point. Like, Acosta has proven cardio. Despine, we have no idea. Excuse me. He, I think, has too much confidence in his ability to knock people out that if he doesn't get Acosta out there in the first round or so, I do worry that he's not going to have that kind of gas. I don't think his striking is what is needed in the UFC. It'll get him a ton of knockouts. I do think that the same amount of people that Acosta beat, like, for example, Chase Sherman, would have knocked him out. De Lima maybe knocked him out, but probably knocked him out. Bresky definitely knocked him out. Arlovsky definitely knocked him out. But in every one of those situations, I do think those guys could have also beat Despine by just being safe. I've got Biggie Boy here. Salsa Boy. God damn it. I got Salsa Boy here. Too many fucking boys. I got the Salsa Boy to weather the storm, to just be very defensively sound. Doesn't really have to worry about Despine trying to take him down. I mean, he can. He's a giant man. If he wants to take him down, that'd be interesting. But I really doubt that. I think Acosta's just fought the better competition. He's the more seasoned fighter in this spot. He's the better overall mixed martial artist. I've got Acosta to win by knockout. Next bout, hate this fight at main card featherweight, Caceras versus Woodson. I am taking Woodson, but not betting him. Woodson, to me, is on that no-flies list, not in the sense that I expect him to hijack an airliner and hit it into a building, more so in the no-fly list that I cannot bet him because he's not trustworthy. Ever since Aldana just bum-rushed him and caught him with something quick and dropped him, I think he jabbed him up and he just hurt him real bad. It was a jab that he didn't see coming because he was too quick and it hurt him. At that point, I'm like, yo, I can't trust him. Woodson's good on the outside. Definitely, he's got the long limbs. He uses it well, but he's very slow. Caceras, he's plus 160. I like him in this spot, but it's like, how well do you trust him to get a finish? I've trusted him in the past against, what was his name? That last guy that he beat, Pineda. He couldn't get the finish there. He's very quick. He's very crafty. He's got a lot of, wins under his belt. He's got a lot of fights. He's fought a lot of good people. But I do think that Woodson has the better striking on the outside. He's got the better combination striking, although slow. I think if he establishes a jab, kicks, teeps to the body, uses his size well, these boxing judges are going to give it to Woodson because he's actually landing what they consider to be legitimate strikes, which are jabs and straights and crosses, opposed to like high kicks and little kicks to the leg, shit like that. So I got Woodson via ignorance of the judges, via decision. Next bout, we've got Diego Ferreira, Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Mateusz Rebecki, minus 265 for Rebecki. Comeback on Diego Ferreira is plus 215. I've got Rebecki here. I think decision or possibly finish along round number 2 or round number 3. Why, you may ask? The generational continuance of the over 40 lightweight fade. He's not quite 40 yet. He's 39 years old, but I can't trust these aging lightweights to still have it in them. I mean, they can definitely get wins. Ferreira, good kickboxer, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. He's a solid fighter, but too many miles on that body. He's training at a Fortis. I don't foresee Saif Saud giving him valid advice like, get up, Diego, get up, as they're like, that's not helping, bro. So I'm going to get with Rebecki here. I think he's just on that run right now where he is just too powerful. He's uber confident. He has the power. He has the power in the kicks. He can take Diego Ferreira down, which is something that you can do. Like we saw in his fight with, a great fight, by the way, with, goddamn, that fisherman, Gregory Gillespie. Like they went back and forth, and then Diego just got exhausted. And Rebecki, I think he's going to be, at a certain point, just too heavy on top, too strong, too fucking stout, too like a goddamn fire hydrant on top of him. And it's going to be too much, and I think he's going to break Diego. As much as I like Diego, I've been a fan of his ever since he beat the shit out of Pettis for me. I was like, yeah, baby, let's go. I'm a fan of this boy. But like, that's when the losses started racking up. It was Beneil Dariush. Took Beneil. Very happy with that one. Gregor took Gregor. I was surprised how fun that fight was. Very fun fight. Mateus, easy money there. I will say at that point, that was probably the best version of Diego before the kind of the worst version of Diego. Mateus couldn't really get him down. He eventually tapped out to getting hit to the back or some shit like that. I think he dislocated a rib. And against Michael Johnson, at that point, he looked kind of old. He looked really slow. Couldn't really land on Johnson. Although Johnson's a very quick fighter, known for the hands and the speed, it was kind of a Hail Mary overhand right that he threw from like 20 yards away that ended up landing and like crucifying Johnson, which I'm all for. I took Ferreira at that spot, but I thought he looked really off. And I think Rebecki's going to be a little too quick for him. Once again, like the wee turtles, he'll be too quick for Diego Ferreira here.
They were too quick for me!
So I'll go with Rebecki. I'm going to say round number 2 TKO. I think he's going to put a pounding on him in a good way, not a bad way. Next bout, Alonzo Menefield versus Ulberg. Ulberg minus 210. Atomic Menefield is plus 170. Easily put. Menefield's a uber dangerous guy. You can always count on him to, at least fight for that finish. Plus 170. He's kind of been a money machine as an underdog. Against Carlos Ulberg, I think Ulberg has the perfect style to whip his ass. I'm going to take Ulberg, and there's a few things that I'm worried about with Ulberg is that if at minus 210, if he is not slightly more aggressive, I think Menefield could kind of bide his time, eat things to the body, like eat punches to the arms and should just be very defensively sound and kind of tire out Ulberg, who is very like active on the outside. With Ulberg, his best and worst quality is that he's uber patient. He doesn't mind being boring. So what I need him to do in this spot, kick the legs, kick the body, jab up Menefield. And what's funny about Menefield's last win against Jacoby, who was a good kickboxer, just not a fast one, Jacoby left himself exposed there for Menefield to catch him. Like I think the last thing that dropped Jacoby was a leaping left hook from Menefield that, had he been faster, it would not have touched him. Had he been more, faster with his reaction time, like Ulberg would be, he probably would have won that fight. And it's crazy that Jacoby won 90% of that fight. 90% of the minutes of that fight was won by Jacoby, piecing him up on the outside, avoiding anything Menefield really threw at him with the clinch and whatnot. But Menefield dropped him and hurt him severely that he had mere seconds, maybe a minute total of dominance. and he still won the fight. Not to say that I feel as if Jacoby won. That was clearly Menefield. Like, he did, I don't know, damage like a certain, Brazilian fight card would dismay. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, he did the damage there to win. In this fight, the way he wins is to immediately either close the gap on Ulberg, kind of gauge it. If Ulberg is too quick and kind of piecing him up a little bit, kind of bide your time, just chase him a little, see what you can do, see if you can land, see if you can just try to like bum rush him with something quick. If you can't, see if you can get him tired, try to clinch him. And that's the thing, Ulberg, if he gets tired that third round, if it hits the third round, I'd be very worried. Hence, I want him to be more devastating and the outside. Throw hard low kicks, teeps the body, piece him up with a jab. Just show your fucking speed. He is super fast with his striking, with the counters, with everything. Like that counter check left hook. It's his fight to lose, and he's more than capable of losing it. I doubt he's going to do so, though. I think he's going to be very patient, very comfortable with being fucking boring. So I'll go with Ulberg, second round TKO. Next bout here, co-main event, welterweight. Plus 150, New Mansa, Joaquin Buckley, and we've got Nurulston Ruziboev, a.k.a. Black. This right here is going to be the first time that there's going to be black-on-black crime when one of them men ain't black. But yeah, we've got Ruziboev, who, fucking 6'5", making 170. That's a big risk here, especially on short notice. He has fought at 170 before, and I think he's lost all, if not a majority of his losses come from 170. But yeah, he's got over 40 fights. He's got 34 wins, 8 losses. I think he's definitely learned. He's only 30 years old. He's just a bigger guy, and I think the style that Buckley possesses, where he dips his head, is like, this is it. This is the renaissance of when that shit is going to hit the fan, where beautiful head movement, but he ducks his head a lot. Nurulston can just throw flying knees all the fucking time. He might get taken down. Buckley should take him down and see if he can get some ground and pound, because I don't know if he's going to be able to cut the distance quick enough to try to crack Ruziboev. I think Buckley's always had issues with guys that have had that tallness for him to conquer. The only guy I think that he was able to just beat the shit out of was Karate Nadi, Jordan Wright, because Jordan Wright has a shitty everything. But in this specific spot, is Nurulston Ruziboev going to make weight? I don't think it matters. I think it'd really be beneficial if he doesn't make the weight. I kind of want to take him before he misses weight, because what is Buckley going to do? Is Buckley going to be like, yo, put me on my home soil of St. Louis, Missouri, and I want to fight anybody? And then they're like, oh, he's overweight by like 5 pounds. Oh, I don't want to fight him anymore. Fuck this. I'll be on the crowd. Like, no, this isn't going to happen. I think if Ruziboev misses weight, Buckley's going to take it regardless. And that's exactly what we need Ruziboev to do. By hook, by crook, by misweight, by finger in the fucking eye, I think Ruziboev is going to get this knockout. I think Buckley, what is Buckley going to do other than try to knock him out? Like, he needs to maybe get takedowns, but I think Ruziboev's ground game has developed enough, especially with the long legs, long-ass limbs, that he could fight off of his back decently. Maybe survive for sure and then keep it back on the feet, where he can try to get head kicks, try to piece him up from the outside, or get flying knees. So I like Ruziboev by knockout. I think that's the play. I think he misses weight. I think that'd be really smart. And just the funniest thing, he misses weight severely, and Buckley's like, I'll fight him anyways. And then he gets knocked out. He's like, it was an unfair advantage that he had over me. I want it back. I'm like, yeah, no. So it's going to be fun. And then finally, we've got Black Beast Derek Lewis, minus 160, come back on Nascimento, plus 135. I like Derek Lewis here. The reason for it, obviously, it all aligns with the stars here. We've got Derek Lewis fighting in St. Louis. Obviously, it's not Houston, which is probably the best thing, because in Houston, he just magically loses every time. But my formula for Derek has been very simple. You fight Derek Lewis when you're the better striker, you're going to beat his ass. Make money, fade him every single time. If you're Derek Lewis and you're fighting a wrestler trying to take you down, you're going to knock him the fuck out. And it's only worked out against me in a few occasions. When it was with the polar bear, he took him down. I think it was just too big for him. And when he fought, what's his name? Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades was supposed to win, and it didn't happen because I thought I thought Curtis, was evolving to be more than just a wrestler. It wasn't the case, and he got that uppercut. He deserved it, and then obviously against Jalton Almeida. But to me, that was just kind of like a. It wasn't a true heavyweight fight. It was just a super athletic jack dude that just controlled Derek. In this case, Nascimento, what I like about him is that he has developed his striking, his wrestling, his single leg game has gotten a lot better. But he is still a grappler. He's still trying to go out there and take him down. And Derek Lewis is going to thrive on that. I think he's going to be super athletic. He is getting in a lot better shape. I know he's had back issues, but even then, he's still got that uber athleticism. I've seen him go and do his miles and do his sprints. And on top of that, even when he was, a fat piece of shit, and I love Derek Lewis, I love Derek Lewis, but he was a fat piece of shit. He was still able to do ridiculous fucking high jump kicks, right? At 40 some years old, at heavyweight, he's still going to have that pop in his power and his punches. And I think he's going to catch Nascimento and he's going to hurt him. I think Nascimento's been caught before by faster men like Dacus in the past. He's had good runs as of late because he's been fighting, losers and guys who can't really strike. Alan Badeau was piecing him up, but Badeau is, he sucks. He's booty. He's Badeau. He's Bidet. Tanner Boser. Fucking Tanner Boser. He's no longer in the UFC. Ilar2. I went retarded there for a second. Ilir Latifi, too undersized, and Dontel Mays fucking sucks. So I think Black Beast is the play for me by round number 1 knockout or just knockout prop, and then being very patient to see if Rodrigo has made the intelligent developments and maybe if Derek Lewis is fully washed at this point. I think Derek can stuff takedowns. He's still very powerful, and he's fighting a guy I think tailor-made for him to knock out. So I've got Lewis by round number 1 knockout, really giving the St. Louis crowd something to really cheer about after their boy New Mansa, Joaquin Buckley, cucks severely poorly. So I'll go with, again, Lewis round number 1 knockout. So let me know what you think in the comments below. It's been Johnny from You Know What Bomb MMA. See you next week.